Okay, let's talk about subject-verb agreement. I know, it's one of those grammar rules we all learn, but it can still trip us all up, right? Well, today we're going to demystify some of the absolute trickiest cases out there, and we're going to do it with one simple rule that solves almost everything. So to kick things off, I want to show you a real head-scratcher. It's a perfect example of why this whole topic can feel so confusing. Check this out. On the one hand, you have the flock is ready. Here, the noun flock is using a singular verb, is. But then, look at the other sentence. The flock are sheared. It's the exact same noun, flock, but now it's using the plural verb are. And here's the wild part. Both of these sentences are 100% correct. So that leads us to the big question. How is that even possible? How can one word act as both a singular and a plural? If you've ever felt confused by something like this, trust me, you are not alone. This is exactly the kind of grammar mystery we're here to solve. The solution, you'll be happy to hear, doesn't involve memorizing endless, boring lists of words. Nope. It's all about understanding a single, really powerful concept. I like to call it the one versus many rule. And here it is. This is the golden rule, the key to everything. You have to stop looking at just the word itself and instead ask, what does this subject mean in this specific sentence? Is it acting as one single cohesive unit, or is it acting as a bunch of separate individuals? That distinction, well, that's everything. All right, let's put this rule to the test. We're going to start with our first category of tricky subjects, words that talk about groups, amounts, and titles. So first up are collective nouns. And these are the classic examples, right? We're talking about words that name a group. Words like flock, team, committee, faculty. This is where our golden rule really gets to shine. See how it works? When we say, our team is the best, we're talking about the team as a single unified thing, one unit. But in the team are all seniors, we're not talking about the team as a concept. We're talking about the individual people on the team. Same noun, different meaning, and boom, a different verb. It's actually that simple. Okay, so that same logic, that whole one unit versus many individuals idea, it works just as well for our next little category, nouns that have to do with amounts. Let's just take a number. How about $9? So is it singular or plural? Well, you can probably guess what I'm going to say. It depends. Take a look. $9 is the price. In that sentence, $9 is a single sum of money, right? It's one price, one unit. But then you have $9 were found. Now we're talking about 9 separate individual $1 bills that someone found. Many individual units. It's exact same principle, just with money instead of sheep. Whew. After all that thinking, let's take a little breather with a really easy one. When you're dealing with titles, for books, movies, songs, whatever, the rule is incredibly simple. Titles are always treated as a single thing, so they always get a singular verb. It doesn't matter if the title itself sounds plural, like Travels with Charlie has that S on the end, but it's one book. So Travels with Charlie is an engrossing book. One title, one verb. Every time. Easy peasy. All right, now let's dive into the category that probably causes the most headaches for people. We're talking about nouns that end in S or ICS, because they just seem to play by their own weird set of rules. You know the words I'm talking about. News, mumps, scissors, politics. They all end in that S, which our brains are trained to see as plural. But it's not always so simple. Let's try to bring a little order to this chaos. This table really helps clear things up. So, in that first row, you've got words that look plural but are actually always singular. Think mumps or news. The news is on. Then, in the second row, you have things made of 2 parts, and they're always plural. Scissors, pants. You'd say, my pants are dirty. And then there's that third row, the tricky ones ending in ICX, where, you guessed it, it depends entirely on the meaning. So for that whole third category, words like politics, statistics, economics, we have to pull out our secret weapon. We have to bring back our golden rule. It's really the only way to figure out whether to use a singular or plural verb. And this is just the perfect example. When we say politics is a challenging field, we mean the subject of politics, right? As a single unified field of study, one unit. But if we say her politics are confusing, we're not talking about the subject. We're talking about her many individual political beliefs and opinions, many viewpoints. See? The one versus many rule comes to the rescue again. It just works. So, we've gone pretty deep on some of this grammar stuff, but what you've really picked up here is more than just a few rules. It's a whole new way of thinking about language. It's like a grammar superpower. The goal here was never for you to memorize every single collective noun or every word that ends in ix. I mean, who could do that? The real skill, the big takeaway, is learning to just pause for a second and ask the right question about what the words really mean. It really all just boils down to this. First, look past the word itself and think about its meaning in that specific sentence. Then ask yourself that key question. Is this thing acting as one single unit, or is it acting as many separate individuals? If you can do that, you can handle almost any subject-verb agreement curveball that comes your way. So, you now have the one versus many rule in your toolbox. My last question for you is this. Now that you're thinking about meaning over just memorizing rules, what other confusing parts of language do you think might start to make a whole lot more sense?